Hello everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's MTPredictor video, I'd like to have a look at our W3 or Wave 3 trade setup. This is new in our latest version of our MTPredictor 8 and our NinjaTrader add-ons. But before we start, we have to look at our risk disclaimer and remind you that all examples in these videos should be considered as hypothetical. No trades are actually taken, they're just shown for illustration and training purposes only. Remind you there's a risk of loss in trading and investing. Put another way, all professional traders know and understand, but more importantly accept that losses can and will and do unfold. That's true for any trading approach you have, that always will be losing trades. Right, let's have a look at an example from yesterday on the USE minis with a great example on a 3-minute chart of the NQ using a day session chart. That's using the regular trading hours from 9:30 to 4:15 in the afternoon New York time. Right, this is our W3 trade setup. So what is it? Basically what it is where the market makes an initial rally off an important low to do a wave 1. The market then comes down into a wave 2. It makes an ABC correction into a wave 2. So if I do our Elliott waves here, it makes an ABC correction into a wave 2. It then makes a strong wave 3 swing. So if I do majors here, you can see this is what it looks like. Basically, so we have a move up, wave 1, down into wave 2 that subdivides into an ABC. We're then looking for a strong wave 3 swing. And as you can see here, the market went right up to our typical wave 3 WPT. Why do we like this trade setup? Well, if I clear everything off and I place our analysis on our blue buy bar here, we like this because normally after a wave 2 there is a wave 3 swing, and the wave 3 is normally the strongest and longest in a completed 5-wave sequence. So what that means, it normally has the largest profit potential in relation to the smallest initial risk. So it's not just about the dollar profit, which as you can see here was a very good profit, it's about the move in relation to the initial risk. In other words, the amount of profit available for the initial risk required to take the trade, i.e. when the losing trades come through. Here we use our correct position sizing to keep our initial risk small under control, in this case less than 2% of a sample $20,000 account. So here you can see the market rallied up beautifully to then hit the typical wave 3 WPT perfectly, where a profit of approximately 6.7 or 6.5 times greater than the initial risk was available. So this is why we like this trade setup. Because the start of it is, how do we define whether this is a good pivot to start our sequence from? Because remember, we use our MTPredictor isolation approach to Elliott wave analysis. In other words, we know and understand that markets are not predictable all the time. About 50% of the time they're random, and otherwise, as such, you should not be able to do any kind of analysis because the market's random. So how do we then decide on whether the market pattern is not random or clear? Well, for that we go to the higher time frame chart. So if I go out to the 15-minute chart, what we do is then place our DPs on the chart in advance. In fact, I want to go back just very quickly as a side to before yesterday even opened. So if I go back to the previous day, I just want to show you what happened to start with. So there's a pivot high. So a right mouse click, do decision point here. You can see that's on the chart in advance. If I go forward, can you see how the market made the high absolutely perfectly there? And we'll look at that in a minute as the market started to decline down. As it declined down, in fact I go back a little bit, I place our DP from the previous pivot there. That's the last swing into the high. That's where our support would be. If I turn trading mode off, you can see how the 15-minute chart came into this level. It went a little bit below it, but then it snapped straight back again. In other words, the support was found at that level. It wasn't absolutely perfect, but the market did snap back. You could do that alongside our ES chart, and if I have a look at our ES chart and I place the DP on from that level, you can see that caught the low of the day on the ES absolutely perfectly. You can see there was the low on the ES absolutely perfectly. So that was a good example of why you look at the all the USE minis together, because the ES was making a perfect low at the same time that NQ is making a low as well. So if I now go back to the 3-minute chart, that's where we start the sequence because it was making a meaningful reversal at higher time support. So the market then came up for wave 1, did an ABC correction down to wave 2. Our MTP trend was then turning blue, so this was a good trade setup to take. And as you can see, it came out and did a lovely result there. Let's have a look at our NinjaTrader 8 add-ons to show you that we have exactly the same setup in our NinjaTrader 8 add-ons. There's our 15-minute support coming in. Here's the initial rally up. Here's our W3 trade setup. Exactly the same. If I place the analysis on, it came up to the typical wave 3 WPT for exactly the same trade setup. So this is in our NinjaTrader 8 add-ons as well. As a PS, you remember I showed you about that 15-minute DP on the high. If I just place the DP here, it came in and caught the high of the day on the NQ yesterday. If I look back on the 3-minute chart, you can see we had a VS or a volume spike sell at the high. If I place the analysis on that red sell bar there, that was a lovely trade on the short side, again using correct position sizing for a nice 4.4 hour profit as the NQ declined. So that's an example of the other new trade setup we have in our MTPredictor, or our latest MTPredictor add-ons for NinjaTrader 8, NinjaTrader 7 and our standalone MTPredictor 8, our VS or volume spike setup. So yesterday was a great example on the NQ where we had a VS sell setup coming in to take a lovely trade just off the high of the day there. Then after that, if I clear that all off, we then had a great example of our W3 or wave 3 trade setup coming in a bit later. Whoops, missed the blue buy bar there. Coming in a bit later to give us a nice 6.7 hour profit. So a good example of this in our NinjaTrader 8 add-ons. But this is what I wanted just to show today was our W3 trade setup, and it's basically where we have a meaningful reversal at our higher time frame support and resistance. This is our DP on our higher time frame chart, which would be the 15-minute chart. We then start our Elliott wave sequence then, because we deem that the market is coming out of a random phase and going into a clearer pattern. The initial rally up will be a wave 1. The initial correction down will be wave 2. Then you have an ABC correction to wave 2. Then you're looking for a wave 3 trade setup. And if I place anything, I'll do it back on our standalone version. So again, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for an ABC correction, which is there, into a wave 2 to then have a wave 3 swing after that. And I guess, and as we've already shown, the reason we like it is, if I go back to our NinjaTrader 8 add-on, so I'll just skip backwards and forward, is because the wave 3 is the strongest and longest in a completed 5-wave sequence. It normally represents the largest profit potential in relation to the smallest initial risk. So that's the W3 or wave 3 trade setup in MTPredictor 8, our NinjaTrader 8 add-ons, as you can see here, and our NinjaTrader 7 add-ons, and is one of our favorite trade setups here at MTPredictor.